Hey FJA students, welcome to your first interactive notebook entry. The materials that you're going to need today, you should have picked up on Monday, and we are going to be using the first 2 pages out of that packet. The first page looks like this, second page looks like this. And that's all we're going to need today as far as from that packet. For other materials, you are going to need a pair of scissors and a glue stick. You're going to need a pencil. And then you're going to need your math notebook. And by the end of this tutorial, you are going to create this, which is just going to be a really cool little cheat sheet, interactive notebook entry that you can utilize while you're doing your problems to hopefully remind yourself how to do all of these different processes when you are converting rational numbers, fractions to percents, percents to fractions, decimals to fractions, so on and so forth. And so I hope you enjoy the video. So first thing I'm going to do is title this page in my notebook, Converting Rational Numbers, and we're going to start with this sheet of paper right here. As you can see, I already started cutting around the dotted lines. For pretty much all of these assignments, we're going to cut on the dotted lines. There's also some dotted lines here. These are eventually going to make tabs, so let's cut that. And then I'm going to get this sheet out too, because on this sheet we actually have our objective here. So let's cut that out really quickly. Here is going to be glued right underneath our title. And then this sheet, it actually says glue on this side, so I'm just going to put my glue all over this side here, right in between the solid lines, because this is going to go down right in the middle of the page. So I'm going to kind of try and center it as best I can. I think that looks pretty good to me. And then along this solid line, I'm just going to fold these over right here. This honestly is probably something you could have done before gluing our sheets down, but all right, so let's cut up the rest of these converting rational numbers. So again, we're going to follow the directions, cut along the dashed lines, and then we're going to use these to glue onto our 6 different flappable areas here. All right, so once you have all of these cut out, I'll line them up here so we can see them. That one needs to come down a little bit. So what you can see over here on the left is that we are going to have descriptions of different ways that you can, just like the objective says, convert fractions, decimals, and percents to create equivalent values. And so we've got 6 different descriptions, and then we've got 6 different categories here. So why don't you all really quickly pause the video here and see if you can figure out exactly which one lines up with which. All right, so what we know is that if we divide the numerator by the denominator, we are able to get a decimal. So we can take a fraction to a decimal, just like over here. So next one, rewrite the percent over 100 and simplify. So which one has a percent? Then we're going to rewrite it over 100 and then simplify. I think this one matches that. Write the decimal over 100 if it has an integer in the hundredths place, over 10 if only in the tenths place. Pause here and see if you can find that one. All right, so matches up with there. Remove the percent sign, move decimal 2 places to the left. Okay, this one right here. So 42%, if you remove the percent sign, move it 2 places to the left, you have converted this percentage to a decimal. This one's upside down. This one, move the decimal 2 places to the right, add the percent sign. So this would be converting a decimal to a fraction. And then to convert the fraction to a decimal, move the decimal 2 places to the right, add the percent sign. So this is our solution to take a fraction and convert it into a percentage. Our next step here is we are going to glue all of these down into their corresponding areas. So to convert a fraction to a decimal, pause here and see which one I'm going to grab. All right, so that's going to be your first one here. Converting decimal to a percent is right down here. So we're always going to put this procedure on the outside. And then the written instructions on the inside. See if you can pause the video here and fill in the rest. All right, and there you have it, a little flippable right here. So when you're doing your work, this is going to be a nice cheat sheet. Let's say you have a problem where you need to convert a fraction to a decimal. You can open this up and you can see an example, and then you can see it explained right there. And I'm also going to write a few other things in here that's going to kind of help me out remembering what I need to remember. So for fraction to a decimal, it says divide the numerator by the denominator. I'm just going to write down the numerator goes over the denominator. Down here, I'm going to write moving the decimal 2 places to the right is equal to multiplying by 100. Down here, 100% equals 1.00. And this is kind of saying the same thing as that, because if you were to move the decimal 2 places to the right, you would get 100, and that would be multiplying by 100. So 100 times 1 is 100. You would get that. Fraction to percent. Here, my tip is make sure your answer makes sense. So always double check your work, especially when you're going through so many processes. So converting your fraction to the decimal, just like you do over here, and then moving the answer. Make sure it makes sense, you know. So if it's 1/8, we know that it's going to be a number very much smaller than 1. So if for some reason you moved it one more space and you had 125%, 125% is going to be greater than 1, because we know 100% is 1 here. So always double check to make sure it makes sense.